Hello everyone and welcome back to Cornwell Garage. Today we're going to be painting the hoops and all the steering components, and we will also be pressing in the bushings to the new arms, and then we'll finish out by welding in those hoops. Stick around. Okay, now that my shop looks like a scene from Dexter, we're going to start by cleaning all those bare metal parts, as well as taping off the parts that I don't want painted. So I did misspeak yesterday. This whole kit came with a brand new pitman arm, which is perfect because I did not want to pull the old one off, and I was wondering how tough it could actually be. And this is way better than stock. Now I'm just going to do a quick pass with some brake part cleaner, and then I'm probably going to go get some paper towels and make sure this is all completely dry. It's pretty humid here right now, and I really don't want to blow everything off because I think my compressor is just going to end up blowing water all over everything. Alright, well I definitely want to go over the craftsmanship of this JD Fab steering component and all the stuff that I've gotten from them. I mean, check out these welds. I mean, someone really took a lot of attention to detail to this, and it really shows. And I just want to make sure you guys get to see this before it's all painted. It'll be harder to see. But I am extremely impressed with the quality of their work. And it's not even on my vehicle yet. Here's this idler arm. Alright, look at that, you guys. Someone went to work this day and cared about their job and how it looks and the finished product. That is for sure. And I'd probably also like to say, I ordered a lot of this stuff maybe 2 years ago. I ended up missing one of the bushings in that front long travel kit, and I didn't ever get my rear poly bump stops. And I emailed them and offered to pay for them or pay for shipping, and they had it out the next day. And I emailed them Christmas morning, so they shipped it out the day after Christmas for me. No questions asked, nothing, even though that purchase was probably 2 years old. Yeah, I just can't say enough good things about them. Now, I am going to paint this all completely, because once it's up and in there, I don't think I'm going to be able to get any paint on this. And I know I'm just going to be painting here, so I'll just touch up whatever I mess up. And also, these tabs that we're going to be welding on later on, I can touch those up as well, and they're getting welded at the front. And I should be able to get to it, so I don't really mind. But I'd like to have some paint and some rust protection up here, and I don't think I'll be able to get to that once I've got it welded in. Everything's taped off. Now we're just going to go back over it once, make sure all those fuzzies are off, make sure there's nothing left over on there, like that. Good morning, everybody. It's the following morning. We got some snow last night. There's the pups, Colt and Dottie. We are going to get some heat going in this shop. Okay guys, the shop's all nice and warm. The parts are warm. The paint's been in front of the fire for 30 minutes. Speaking of the paint, we're gonna use Krylon Rust Tough Protective Flat Enamel. I picked it up from the local Napa. I think it's gonna be a pretty good product. We'll see. I'll let you guys know in a couple months if it's just got a bunch of dings on it or it's flaking, but let's get going. Good morning, you guys. We are back about 24 hours later since we painted all these parts. Let's check them out. Now again, this is the Rust Tough line from Krylon, and it went down really nicely, I think. There we go. Still learning to focus on all this camera stuff. This one turned out really nice. And I didn't take it apart either, just taped up the bolts. Got the tape off this one. Pretty good lines. I am interested to see how this is gonna look in 2-3 months after driving on the road and some rock chips, and see how it does hold up to that. But overall, it's really smooth, and I'm pretty pleased. So we are gonna let this sit for another 5 to 8 hours maybe. Then we're gonna head to the big shop in Alfalfa, where we're gonna push in the bushings to those upper and lower arms. Let's go. All right, guys, we are here. Let's get inside and get all set up. Okay, we are all set up now. I've got myself organized on the floor, passenger, driver, and I've got the press behind me that I'll be using for this video. If you see me greasing anything in this video, it is super lube, because I did some research and apparently this is the best stuff you can put on polyurethane bushings. So I'm gonna get you guys set up on a stand, and I'm gonna get started on the lower arms because those are easy. We're gonna knock those out. Then I'm gonna cut the old arms in half so I can get the bolts out, and then we'll press them into the new upper arms. This grease is pretty interesting. It's all white. I think it's mostly silicone. So a little backstory in this shop. It's one of my best buddies, Josh's shop. He and I were business partners in an excavation company. And since then, I guess a couple weeks, he bought me out and he's now running it by himself. He's growing, going commercial, it's great. And I, right now, am just doing YouTube. Unemployed for a little bit, taking a break. Been working hard the last few years, building that company up. But thankfully, we're still good buddies, and I get to use this sweet shop. I've been working on wiring it for 6-8 months now, and we got everything but the lights. So next time you guys are here, hopefully it'll be nicely lit, because right now we just have light from the big garage door behind you. Done using that now. So I am going to use one of the washers that this kit came with, just so we're not pressing directly on this polyurethane. I'm sure it'll be fine, but I don't want to find out otherwise. Probably took all the grease right off of it. Who knows? And there is some Zerk fittings that we're going to be putting on later, but I'm going to pre-grease it as we put this stuff in. Boom, all set. All right, next we're gonna move over to the upper arms. I'm sure there's a way to get those bolts out that doesn't involve cutting them in half, but for time's sake, I'm just gonna cut them in half, take them off. I'm not reusing them. All right, safety first, guys. Bare minimum. So these two small bushings will go in the straight piece of this arm. Let's get that going. And again, it seems like they go in pretty easy, not a lot of fight. I don't mind that. All right, now you're going to want to get this bolt in before you start working on this top bushing. I just put a fresh battery in there. Nothing has prepared me for batteries on cameras. I genuinely thought I'd get at least 4 or 5 hours of work, and I think the first time I filmed 35 minutes, and I'm trying to pay attention so we don't miss anything for you guys. There's definitely some resistance here. I'm glad I'm not hammering this in my garage right now. I'm not saying you can't, but you definitely don't want to. Oh. I think I'm hitting this plate right now, so I'm going to pull this and adjust this for these holes to go through. I think that's all the way in. Bigger bushing looks like it goes in from the outside. This. That sleeve's gonna be fun. Now I think I'm going to in this sleeve before I get too far ahead of myself. Really should be some this too. impact might work. You notice I put a nut down here. Always watch the threads, guys. That's a wrap. We got everything in. It's about time we go back to the shop and start welding, getting those hoops on. I've got a frame support that I ordered in. Let's do it. All right, we're back here in the garage and we're gonna get straight into taking off this chunk of metal for this kit for clearance. We're also gonna take off this bump stop because the down travel is limited by a limit strap in this kit. Show what you guys did now that I spun you around. I got really close right in here. So I took this chunk off. And now we've got this gap up here. So since we're here, I'm gonna weld that in before we do anything else. And I'll get this all cleaned up too. But when you cut this off, go slow, take your time. I even took too much off the first time. I feel like I could probably leave some more on next time. But I've got a welder and I'm gonna bring all this back together just in case. All right, this side is ready, except for welding up the top. After the top is welded up, we'll get that upper arm, bolt the 3 up here, kind of push it down out of our way, and then kind of set that hoop up in here. And I think this is one place to locate it. And then we have, here we go, a support. I'm gonna go something or other like that. Okay, I just finished up the passenger side. Let's see how it turned out. Got that all nice and flat. Actually left the material this time enough for it to weld all the way across the top. And then I'll fill this gap too. Get a good view. It's less than 1/8 of an inch. It won't be too big of a deal, but we'll get a nice weld across the whole entire top. Makes it nice and structural. All right, I'm gonna let the smoke clear. I'm gonna clean up, and then I'll get to welding. You guys are gonna see that too. All right, so I got to thinking. I don't like how thin this metal is at the very top, which I'll show you here in a second. So I'm gonna use some CAD, and what I wanna do is fill in that hole and just make it a little bit more rigid, because the upper arm bolts down to those 3 big bolts on top with that main bolt that goes through. And I'd like to have that very rigid. I don't want to have to worry about that. And I did just cut a bunch off. Let's look at it right here. So I'm not too concerned about this hole. I think that's gonna be plenty structural, especially with this big chunk right here I'm gonna weld. But I do want to fill in both of these on both sides, especially the one where I took the material off the top and there's nothing there. Because those, as you can see, are the 3 bolts for that big main bolt that goes through that upper arm. This guy right here. And while I'm in here, now's the time to do it. So let's get started with that. Okay, I got that piece cut off camera. I ground it just a little bit on the edges. Here's the result. It's got a bit of a tolerance fit some places, but it'll work. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it'll do its purpose. I mean, look at the factory weld that's holding it on. We might actually add some on there. Why not? We're here. That one, probably not. Okay, let's switch to the other side and get that piece cut out and mounted so we can just weld all at once. Okay, so the driver's side one is done as well. Let's check that out real quick. I'm pretty pleased with this one, how this one turned out. Probably better than the other side. Nice and tight. Be able to weld along the top. Maybe. That is quite a bit of a gap. I'll just push it in some. Either way, it'll take some time. We'll get it all welded. I'm gonna clean up both sides and I'll set up the camera and do some welding. I'll probably just show you my back because I'm a little worried. We are zooming in. Sorry, you had to see that. Okay, we're back to the right spot. Okay. So I'm probably just going to show you my back. I'm a little worried about burning the lens on this somehow, but I will show you guys the results. I'm not too prideful in my welding. I just welded the plate into the driver's side, and as promised, I'm going to show you the result of it. There's definitely some room for improvement here. I had a tough time figuring out how to fill this gap right here. Had to turn it way down, kind of tack, and then run a hot puddle. So I'm sure the next side's gonna look a whole lot better. And then right here, I just went off course because I didn't see I was going off course. But nevertheless, they got really good and hot, and I'm not too worried about it. All right, I'm gonna go weld in the plate on the passenger side, and I'll show you guys the result of that. All right, so second side is done. Let's check it out. Again, more room for improvement, but I feel like it was a lot better. This is the serious gap on this side. So what I did is I kind of tacked along the whole way, filled it in, did a big pass through the middle, and then on the sides got it all really hot. The top turned out a little bit better. I feel like it could have gotten a lot hotter though. I'm not sure if I love that. Well, I know I talked about maybe redoing that weld because it wasn't very hot, but the instructions from JD and the video that they provided didn't show them welding any of the top anyway. So I think it's going to be good enough just to hold it there and be a little bit better than what it was. Let's get started by putting this upper arm on and putting this hoop in and seeing how it's all going to fit and tack it in, and then we'll finish weld all that. Now it looks like JD just put a tack in here just in case your fitment's different. I'm sure all these are just a hair different, but I'm assuming this should work. We'll see. Get this up in there. touching right here. Maybe it won't go down all that way, but might as well clearance it now. So now it looks like it will locate with this hole right here. And it looks like it's gonna smack dab right in the middle of this VIN plate. I don't think JD sent this bolt here, but it's an M8 by 125. They may have though, and I might have just misplaced it, but oh well. I'm trying to get a couple threads in right here. So far, so good. I'm trying to get a thread started on this. I definitely don't want to tighten it down until I got this in here. I think this one's a little bit more important for now. Oh, it's right on too. I might be fighting the paint that I put on this thing. That feels really good. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that's not just the paint I'm fighting. It likes the shorter of the same exact bolt, so we'll use that for locating, I guess. Okay, that's finger tight. I think I might cut this, get this located, push it against, and then tack it again. This is definitely not right now. Okay, that's free. Oh man, I should probably just tighten these up. Okay, that's tight. Probably more than I wanted. Of course. Snug. Might have to massage this body, or inner fender right here. Don't like that. I mean, it's like touching up here. I mean, it's hitting right there. Hitting back there. Might as well smack it down right here. Custom. A lot of you guys are watching, I'm just cringing. It's just an inner fender. This one done first. Fits awfully nice. Yeah, there's definitely clearance over there now. Let's get this somewhat snug. That's a whole lot better. I want this corner just a little bit farther away. But there's tons of room now. I mean, right here is even probably a 1/4 inch. Now it actually looks pretty good. There's a little bit of room all the way through. That's not touching. This has got a slight gap behind it. Okay, sorry about that. Battery died on me. Let's check this out. Oh, sweet. See, there's good room right there. Well, I'm gonna start using this camera more often. Plenty of room right there where we tapped it. We have the slightest gap right there. I'm not worried about welding that. Or should I be? I don't know. That's nice and tight. I'm gonna trace all that with a Sharpie, clean it up. Take this all off one more time, and then put it back on once more. And then I'll tack it and final weld the whole thing in. That is going to be filthy. Better. All right, so the passenger side is welded. Let's check it out. Ran out of light. Midway through welding all that. Here we go. So I'm pretty happy with this one. I think you guys can see it. Really not happy with this left one. So this ended up landing below this VIN tag, and there was quite a gap down here, and it was tough. I mean, I'm not very good at overhead and overhead fill, so it's just not great. I mean, it's good and hot, but I don't love it. I had to take a break, but I mean, this section right here, this turned out a lot nicer. That's still nice and hot. Yeah, it's burned the paint off. I had to push some of these brake lines around to get it to fit right. Hopefully they still seal, but it's in, and I'm going to do some touch-up paint on it tonight, but I think that's going to be it for today. Just this passenger side shock hoop has gotten me into it about 2-3 hours, and I still have to weld. You guys can't see it. We still need to weld this all the way around, but there is no way I'm taking this off until this is all super nice and cool, because I can't imagine trying to line this up if it's warped after I take it off and it cooled or something like that. So, all right, I was looking at this and I was thinking about this bump stop being right here and welding it in, and I was wondering, with all the stuff going in here, is this going to clearance at all? So I checked on the website from JD Fab, and it appears, let's see if we can, there we go. It's cut off right there, and I wonder if that's for clearance even with this lower arm. So I am going to get this taken off as well and weld probably just this lower edge. I'll just trim this off. This piece just wraps around and welds right there, but I don't want to take this whole thing off. Or I might. It'd look cleaner. But there goes another couple hours of work. All right, we're back. I did take these bump stops off. I cut it nice and flush. What I'm gonna do is put a weld through here. A short one right here. We'll go across. Do across right here too as well. I did both sides. They're all ready to go and ready to be welded. Let's get this arm or shock hoop back up in here and get going. Okay. I think I'm gonna tack this right side first. Get it good right there. Then I'll tighten this up and it'll pull that flange right to it. Tack that, tack this, and then I'm gonna go to town and I'll show you guys the result. All right, this side's welded in. Turned out a lot better. That weld was so hard to see where I was going. Had to stop a few times. I'm gonna let this cool, and then I'll weld this all the way around on both sides. I'll take it all the way out again. That's in. This got welded up. A little bit on the back, just a little bit on the front. But feels like we're dangerously close to actually putting some arms on and fitting it for a limit strap. And then maybe even working on these bump stops today. That's gonna be a wrap for this video. I don't want it to get too long. Stick around. Next week will be the video of the bump stop and also the limit strap, and then painting it all, and then we'll probably post another video for just the final assembly. Thanks, guys.